I have to report this story from the University of North Texas before WOWO-AM host Pat Miller gets to it. Now, this story about black people, the N-word, and fried chicken is just the kind of race bait Pat Miller can't resist. North Texas Daily headline: Student finds racial slur on receipt from UNT dining establishment. A UNT student demanded the closure of Krispy Krunchy chicken in the Union on Wednesday after an employee typed in a racial slur on a receipt Tuesday, according to a release from her attorney. Communications major Chelsea Shaw took to Twitter Tuesday to post a photo of a receipt from a restaurant at the Union where the cashier typed nigger instead of her name. Shaw said she doesn't understand and needs answers. Chelsea Shaw's attorney is Dallas-based Justin Moore, who takes the case to the people on Facebook. So this is Wednesday, April 18th, 2018. Justin Moore says, "This is what my client received after ordering lunch at UNT's food court." Coming on the heels of two black men being arrested inside of a Starbucks, to say that this behavior is unacceptable would be to state the obvious. North Texas Daily says UNT Dining Services terminated the employee Tuesday after an investigation. A tweet from President Neil Smatrisk said, "From listening to discussions in social media, it appears as though assumptions are being made about the race of the person responsible," Smatrisk said in an email to students Wednesday. "It is important to know that both the customer and the employee were the same race. And regardless of other societal views, it is my belief that the use of this term is never okay." We have a black man who makes chicken at Krispy Krunchy chicken, allegedly calling a black woman nigger. Attorney at law Justin Moore wants the University of North Texas to identify the man, presumably so Justin Moore can ask him about the culture at the university that encourages black people to say nigger. WOWO-AM host Pat Miller loves sharing stories about black people hurling the N-word at other black people because it gives him a reason for blaming racism in America on black people. Here's a similar story that Pat Miller loved last year. CNN headline: A black cadet wrote the racist graffiti found at Air Force Academy. In late September, after racist slurs were found on the message boards of 5 black cadet candidates at the Air Force Academy Preparatory School, the school superintendent was angry. The vandalism was written in black marker and said, "Go home with the N-word." Air Force Academy officials said that one of the black cadet candidates actually wrote the racist messages. Speaking about the Krispy Krunchy chicken black on black nigger receipt, Justin Moore says this speaks to a darker and sicker narrative of black people internalizing racism and hating themselves. That makes sense when we're talking about black people weaponizing the N-word. Now, when I grew up in the 70s, white people calling black people nigger was commonplace, especially for white men and white boys. Nigger was one of their favorite words. When comedians like Dick Gregory, Paul Mooney, and Richard Pryor used the word nigger in their stand-up comedy routines, their word was wrestled away from white boys and white men. Dick Gregory says whenever somebody says the word nigger, they're just promoting his autobiography called Nigger. By the time NWA hit it big with Straight Outta Compton, black people owned the word nigger. When black people start making money by writing, joking, and rapping about niggers, white people in media and government decide the word nigger is so terrible that we now have to say the N-word to make you think nigger without anyone actually saying it. Black people calling black people nigger is a double standard. We live in a world with double, triple, and quadruple standards all around us. No one should be surprised when they encounter a double standard in America. Double standards allow white comedian Jeff Foxworthy to joke about who may or may not be a redneck as a mainstream sensation. That dude got a network sitcom based on "You Might Be a Redneck." WOWO-AM host Pat Miller can't resist the University of North Texas Krispy Krunchy chicken story about the N-word being weaponized among black people. That's the kind of story he understands. When it comes to 2 black people being arrested at a Philadelphia Starbucks for being too black for Starbucks, Miller says liberals on the left are afraid of criticizing Starbucks because the left loves Starbucks so much. Miller's problem with the Starbucks situation is that the left-wingers are not criticizing Starbucks. Because that is his focus, Miller completely misses the real problem. CBS headline: Black men arrested at Philadelphia Starbucks say they feared for their lives. Rashawn Nelson, initially brushed it off when the Starbucks manager told him he couldn't use the restroom because he wasn't a paying customer. He thought nothing of it when he and his partner, Dante Robinson, were approached at the table and were asked if they needed help. The 23-year-old entrepreneurs declined, explaining they were just waiting for a business meeting. A few minutes later, they hardly noticed when the police walked into the coffee shop until officers started walking in their direction. That's when we knew she called the police on us, Nelson told the Associated Press in the men's first interview since video of their April 12 arrest went viral. Robinson said he thought about his loved ones and how much the afternoon had taken such a turn as he was taken to jail. Nelson wondered if he'd make it home alive. Anytime I'm encountered by cops, I can honestly say it's a thought that runs through my mind, Nelson said. You never know what's going to happen. When talking about the Starbucks matter, WOWO-AM host Pat Miller fails to address the fact that unarmed black men are shot and killed by police officers for no good reason on a regular basis in America. Pat Miller believes Blue Lives Matter, while he considers Black Lives Matter a hate group equal to Nazi skinheads and the Ku Klux Klan. When you have a black man calling a black woman nigger, that's not going to lead to free Krispy Crunchy chicken for black people in America. But if you follow Hotep Jesus on Twitter, he may lead you to the promised land where Starbucks Reparations coffee flows deep and wide.